There are some models that feel like a qualitative step into the future. GPT-4 was one of those. Today is also going to be one of those days. We are going to be releasing two models, O3 and O4 Mini.
ChatGPT has came out with another banger. Yesterday, they just released 4.1 and the Nano and the Mini versions of it. But now they fully released O3 as well as O4 Mini. Check it out.
These are the first models where top scientists tell us they produce legitimately good and useful novel ideas. We've seen great results in law. Talking to one of my coworkers yesterday, he said that O3 came up with a great idea for system architecture. It's like we haven't really seen anything like this. And the thing that's really amazing about these models is that they're not just models, they're really AI systems. We've trained them to use tools, which is not something that we had done with our previous reasoning models. They actually use these tools in their chain of thought as they're trying to solve a hard problem. For example, we've seen O3 use like 600 tool calls in a row trying to solve a really hard task. And we're going to be making these models incrementally available starting today, rolling out as quickly as we can in our API and ChatGPT. And one thing that's very near and dear to my heart is their ability in software engineering, and not just producing sort of one-off pieces of code, but really working in real code bases. I found that these models are actually better than I am at navigating through our OpenAI code base, which is really useful.
Definitely better than I am.
That ship has sailed for me a long time ago.
Yes. But it just helps you get so much more done. And so we're really excited to bring these to the world and see what you will all do with them.
As you've seen in that video, they said that they had just made a huge step forward. They compared this to a monumental step forward with this AI models, which is actually pretty interesting that they said that. One of the things that caught my attention was that they said that these models, scientists have said that this AI has significantly aided in the advancements, ideation, and pushing a project forward in the scientific space. And one of the examples, they had this person where they were able to have this AI finish out a scientific project. Check it out.
Things that O3 can do. I'll start with a science example. So this will be a physics poster. So I'm going to let O3 start thinking now so it can take its time. What I'm going to feed it is a poster of some physics internship that I did in 2015, so 10 years ago. And this poster, or the project, was supposed to estimate a quantity called the proton isovector scalar charge. It's a beyond the standard model of particle physics quantity that tells you how short-range interactions, how strong they are. And what you'll see is that the model, O3, is zooming in. It's kind of like browsing around. Here, I'll zoom out just so we get a little bit better view. And it is kind of looking for the right quantities for the question I asked it, which is to basically find this result that I had and compare it to recent literature. But there's a small twist. The result actually isn't in the poster, and that's because I didn't have it yet. Although it's in like the final paper for this project, it's not in this poster, and I'm actually asking O3 to do the rest of the project for me, essentially.
He uses the same trick at OpenAI.
Yeah. It's true. Great. So it found the plot that I wanted it to find. It's supposed to figure out that it needs to find the slope of this plot, extrapolate down to a specific physical quark mass, and then grab that quantity, and then actually apply another quantity to normalize that value. And I think it has already kind of figured out that this is what it should do, but it is just spending a little bit more time exploring the image. Okay, it's good. It's now going to browse the web for recent results.
Yeah, why is it searching the web?
Well, I think I actually, did I ask it? I said, oh yeah, find any recent findings that have updated estimates. So now it's just looking at the literature and seeing what people have done and how it compares to the result that it thinks that I eventually arrived at.
And how long do you think it would take you to do this task?
Quite a long time. So it took me a long time just to remember what my poster even meant in the first place. And I also didn't even realize that the result wasn't there when I first asked it this question. It actually told me that, which was nice. So many days just for me to even onboard myself back to my project and then a few days more probably to actually like search through the literature. And I mean, it must have just read, at least like 10 different papers in a few seconds for me. So that's a huge time savings. Great. So it has summarized my result here. And these numbers look correct to me. So it's figured out like there's like this unnormalized value that it's like estimated by extrapolating, and that when you multiply by this specific constant, that it will renormalize it. And it says, okay, you would have ended up with this, which is somewhat close. I think it ended up around like 1.2 in my paper. And then it compares with the actual literature here. So there's a few different estimates, and looks a little close, I'd say. So let's see what it says. It says my bear value looks high because it needs to be renormalized. That's correct. After you multiply by that, you get something that's more consistent with the state-of-the-art results. That's great. But it says my precision isn't as good as the state-of-the-art, which is fine. It was an internship.
As you see there, they were able to have this person look at a project that he did previously and give AI information and ask them for an answer that wasn't already in the project and have them finish the rest. Mind you, this is on some nuclear charged atoms thing that's very scientific. This is not something simplistic that anybody can do. Even the person who did the project, he said it took him about 10 days for him to get back up to speed on the project that he worked on previously. So he was in the space, but getting back up to speed, he needed more time to get back up to speed with it, which I think is pretty substantial. Not only that, when it came to these type of things, it was able to finish it, completely finish it. This seems like this is a huge step forward where AI not only helps and can do things that save you a lot of time, but actually push the ball forward. Earlier this week, they already announced that AI can now have full context as far as all the things that you feed to ChatGPT. It can go back and use that as information when it talks to you to help refine and give you better answers that are more custom and tailored to you. But they did something else. Check it out.
One of the cool things about these models is they can use all of the tools that we have available in ChatGPT. So I just turned on memory for this model. So the model knows a few things about me. And I'll get this one started as well. And so, as people have said, models are super smart, which is really, really great. And they can help us with, even cutting edge research in all sorts of fields. But even if you're not literally a researcher in particle physics, this new intelligence and these sort of more agentic kind of abilities to use tools is still useful, and it can still be very valuable for you as well. And so what I've asked O3 here is just based on what you know about me. So it has access to memories now. Read the news and teach me something that I probably didn't know, but that I would find really cool in particular. And so, this is going to involve, knowing something about me, but also doing some of this agentic, thinking and tool use to look up some potentially relevant, interesting things. And here I've also asked it to actually plot some data or information that I could put in a blog post if I wanted to tell people about this cool new fact. And so what it's done here is some of my interests are scuba diving and playing music. And so it's sort of combined these interests, and it's actually found this line of research that was actually kind of mind-blowing to me, which I didn't know about until I actually was working on this demo, where researchers actually make recordings of healthy coral reefs, and then they literally play back those recordings underwater with an underwater speaker, and that actually accelerates the settlement of new coral and even fish to sort of heal that coral reef and have it regenerate more quickly. And so this is like an actual line of research in coral reef preservation, and it was a very cool sort of synthesis of both underwater exploration and also music. And so here we have a nice blog post. So the model is sort of smoothly both browsing. It's using advanced data analysis to show and plot some data for me. It's using Canvas to generate a blog post, and it's summarizing at the end with some citations, what it found and where it got those results from. So
you see in that example, enabling the information about you and letting ChatGPT know this stuff about you, it was able to gather all that information up and recommend you something that you may be interested in, but something that you probably didn't already know about. That's how they got their coral reef information, which of course is game changer, because not only would it know some stuff about you, it would also have to know the habits about how you look up stuff and how you look into stuff, to know that even though you may be into this stuff, this is something that you probably wouldn't normally come up on, which is huge. Not only that, but when it came to a lot of these AI models, these things are crushing coding competition. Of course, with Sweetbench and every other metric they add, every model they release always usually does better than the previous models. So of course, O3 and O4 Mini are breaking all kind of records when it comes to Sweetbench, Python coding, and everything else. Not only that, they even have their own type of evaluation system where they use these evaluation systems, but they also noted that O3 and O4 Mini is solving the questions a little bit different than you may expect. Check it out.
We want to go beyond the eval numbers, which are incredible, and show you a little bit how our model uses tools in order to solve those problems. So here, for example, we have a problem from the Amy math contest. And the problem here is asking you to look at this grid of 2x2 squares and count the number of combinations of coloring that verify some constraint. And let's see how the model does it.
Yeah, so the way the model thinks is really cool. So it starts out by producing a brute force program and then runs it using a Python interpreter. And it gets the right answer, which is 82. But this is messy, right? It's pretty inelegant. And the model recognizes that and then simplifies its solution and comes up with a smarter way of doing things. It then also double checks its answer to increase its reliability, which is kind of neat. Now, these models are not just trained to output the right answer, they're also trained to be useful. So in this case, it now gives the solution in words to explain it to a human. What I found really cool here was we didn't train the model to use certain strategies directly. We didn't say, simplify your solution or double check. It just organically learns to do these things, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's super cool that comes up with essentially the intended solution here that a human would be able to do, whereas the first brute force solution, of course, you would never have time to do that in the actual contest.
As you see in that example, they were able to brute force answer this question, but not only did they brute force answer the question, they then came back, refined it for a more robust type of solution. But not only that, they even broke down the solution into human readable understanding without even needing to be prompted. It just did it, which means that this may be really good now for teaching yourself a lot more stuff, having more like tailored PhD level tutor for your own personal amusement in any topic that you may want. These are really good, but I am a little bit overwhelmed by just the sheer number of information that is coming through, because we just had 4.1 be announced, 4.1, 4.1 Nano and Mini as well. Now we have O3 fully released and O4 Mini. I don't know what to take with all this. Which one's doing this? I think, of course, the O3 models, the O4 Mini is better than the 4.1s. But yesterday, 4.1 was doing really good with coding and everything else. And Windsurf did announce that this is going to be free to vibe code out with for the next week or so. So you can use O4 Mini, O3, as well as ChatGPT 4.1. So you can vibe code out with all of these things. I think they even talked about how well the image detection and analytics of different types of analytics can be done using their visual analytics software that comes with the AI. Because when they uploaded the project, the unfinished project, and have ChatGPT finish the analyzing it, you can tell that it was like blowing up the screen, zooming in, really digging into really great detail to figure out what was going on with this image to make something out of it. So that really has now some enhanced capabilities when it comes to this. But these things are just getting better and better. And the fact that they were just back to back with it, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe tomorrow they also have something else. Because none of these ones had Sam Altman there. And usually with Sam Altman there, it's really going to be good. So the fact that they didn't makes me think, where is Sammy Boy at? But also, I am curious to see what's around the corner, because let's be real, Gemini 2.5 Pro just was released not too long ago. And now ChatGPT is releasing these new models. If Gemini comes back out with something really good, or DeepSeek or Claude comes back out with something really good, I like when they do that because it all pushes them to keep going, and it usually ultimately gives us more stuff for free. DeepSeek comes out with something, it's just going to be open source, so it's going to be doubly good. But this is just absolutely amazing to see the progress that they're at, and it's weird that we're already at ChatGPT 4.1. They said they're deprecating 4.5, but I guess 4.1 just better. I can't wait to see what they do next, and I may go live and test out the different types of code when it comes to 4.1, 4.1 Nano and Mini versus these O3 models that they just released, and see how well they vibe code, and maybe see how well they can answer a lot of questions. If you want to see that, you should definitely comment down below live. But if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest AI news, quantum news, robotics news, you should definitely like and subscribe. With that being said, your boy Dex, not Dexter, out.